Hi there, this is Erica DELSIGNORE, and I'm the founder of Daily Lead Campaign, and this is my interview series called Great Minds, Great Marketing. And don't forget that here at Daily Lead Campaign, we get you lots of leads through social media and video marketing. And I am super excited about our guest today. He is just a legend in email marketing, in conversion, in getting more clicks. Anything that you want to know about bringing in more business, being more attractive to your prospects and clients, this guy is going to tell us. And he has got courses that are just setting records for sales. And so I'm going to let him tell you a little bit more about that. I've got a whole list of achievements here, and there's a lot of numbers. I have Matt Bacak. I'm so excited to have you here today. Thank you very much for coming on my little show.
Yeah, no problem. Look, guys, the fact is I've been marketing online since 1999. A lot of the people out there that many people follow have been students of mine. Russell Brunson just bought some of my stuff. He's been a student of mine forever. Actually, I was the first person he ever paid to consult him.
Wow.
Ryan Dice and I have done a lot of stuff together, and early on, he's bought some of my stuff. I bought his. We kind of, my friends and I kind of share back and forth. We kind of have this rule of thumb: if we want it, we buy it from each other. So I've been doing this since 1999, and I kind of started putting up my first opt-in page in 2001. But I've been doing it way before the Can Spam Act. So, and actually, it's funny because that's when I started. I say 99 is email marketing because that's when I really started doing email marketing. Actually, my history goes a little bit deeper than that. I realized in college I was building websites and stuff like that for politicians and stuff, but I didn't know what I was doing. And I went back, looked at my copy. I was like, wow, this is halfway good.
Yeah.
So I guess I was a marketer back then, and I didn't realize it.
There you go. You had it instilled inside of you. You didn't realize that there was a name for it, and that people would pay you.
There wasn't a name. There actually really wasn't a name for.
No,
internet marketing wasn't a name back then. I remember because even in my books in college, there was no name. There was no such thing as internet marketing. There's no such thing as digital marketing. Digital internet marketing is a new name that actually just came out probably about, I think it's like 5 years ago, 10 years ago. It's a newer name that's been adapted, but it's interesting. Yeah, we didn't know what was going on back then.
Hey, the internet came out. Emails, nobody was really emailing. You had AOL, and I don't know how old you are, but that's basically, I didn't even email until I got my first real job. So
wow.
Doing it, I wouldn't even get it in the chat rooms. I was like, I don't have time for that. So yeah, now it's all digital. So it's good to be the early adopter. You're way ahead of everybody else.
Yeah, sometimes if you go first, you get shot, though. So I've been shot a few times. Kind of a lot of stuff. Actually, most people don't know this. I was like the fourth podcaster in the world. So, I've been doing this stuff for a long time. It's kind of one of the great things I get to see when, I see things happen before they happen just because I've been around long enough. I could see shifts and changes, and I could tell you a lot of times I will say something to somebody, I'm like, yeah, that I get you, guarantee in a couple years this is going to happen. Even like right now, I was joking about Facebook's changed their, Google has changed their ad panel to look a lot like Facebook's. So it's funny because I was like, one day they're going to do that, and then all of a sudden it happens because I've just seen the changes over the years.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, whoever's doing it best, you can bet that everyone else is going to follow.
Knock them off. Yeah, that's true.
That's right. There's no original ideas, just ones that keep getting copied over and over. That's good. That's good. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you've done and what kind of courses you have, and the all-time gravity record on ClickBank. I'd love you to explain that to me because I've seen ClickBank, and I've never put any of my courses up there, so I know that it's really popular.
Yeah, well, okay, so understand this, like when I first started, there was no real, ClickBank was it just came out a little bit later, but there was no really digital platform for us to use. Amazon wasn't digital back then, it was all physical stuff. I'm 99% sure on that one. So there was no digital place for us to go, but I fell in love with the digital side of things. Being able to sell digits and make money, I was like, oh, this is awesome. I'm selling air.
Yeah.
Not really, but it's just digits. So, and I didn't have to deal with all the stuff in my closet. So, back then. But I bring that up because, I like to leverage networks, and it's good for a lot of people to kind of take in consideration if you're an author, speaker, coach, consultant, or if you got information, or even if you're creating a service. Information is one of the greatest things to do, and I like to leverage networks in the sense of why go out to my thought process is always, and I know you do social media stuff, or even you do video stuff. So, like, why go out to a network and create your own video place? Why would go create your own social media platform when there's other ones we can leverage because there's already people there? And that's kind of my thought. It's interesting you bring up ClickBank because that was my first ClickBank launch that I ever did. And actually, I think it's my last one I ever did too. I might have put another one up. No, I never did another one later, except for in a different niche. But we crushed it in the sense of what I do is I like to say, here's a product that I have. Where is the proper place for me to go? Where is that target audience that makes the most sense? Where am I going to be able to get the love from the affiliate base or from the people that are selling over there or even from the network? So where can I go? And so at the time it made sense for me to use that for that product that we created. And so there's a thing called Gravity, and Gravity basically lets you know in a 7-day period how many affiliates or how many people that are salespeople are selling that one particular product or made sales of that one particular product in a 7-day period. And so that means for me, we hit 2,083 Gravity. That means I had 2,083 people made sales within a 7-day period on that product. So we actually had 7,551 affiliates promote it. Of those 7,000 people that promoted it, we had 2,000 who make sales. So, I mean, that's what that Gravity number kind of means in a sense.
Wow, that's really great. That's amazing. So you've done a lot of different types of marketing. I mean, has it been all online, or have you done anything with actual physical mail? I'm looking at everything.
Oh, we do. I mean, we do a combination of everything. My whole thing has always been get them online, take them offline as quickly as possible. So one of the cheapest and easiest ways I feel to get leads is to build them up and make that happen. I mean, years ago, it feels like internet years go very fast. So it's kind of like dog years, right?
The 1 year.
Yeah, a year's a month on the internet. But yeah, I mean, a while back I had 3 companies that we had stocks, real estate, and real estate tax, and in the internet marketing too. So really 4. Plus I had a hosting company. That year we did over $20 million when I had all those companies. I ended up selling off some of the stuff, but selling information. So I mean, my thing is creating the systems, but our big goal was we developed lead generation, lead magnets. We get people online, put them on our list, and then we take them to something else from there as fast as humanly possible. Sometimes we had if they didn't know us, depending on how aware they were about us, our products, our services. We weren't really big into the video. If they were following our videos probably back, when we were doing a lot of that stuff, it would probably, able to create the sale a lot faster. But we would do a lot of stuff on the phone. So that's what in the past, I mean, we've built multiple multi-million dollar companies. Now last year, I kind of decided, hey, look, I'm kind of done with all this stuff. I don't only have one product online right now that's really online, and that just feeds a piece of software that I have. But other than that, I have my mastermind, and that's one thing that I like. So I get some of the top minds. A lot of people know them. We're kind of like the Fight Club. We don't talk about anybody, but I've had people literally in there doubling, tripling their business. So it's awesome to be able to work with them and be able to see that instead of. I kind of jokingly with them said, like, now I'm on the board of directors of your company and act as if I'm buying it. I act as if I'm buying it when I'm playing with it because I have sold a lot of companies over the years.
I'm sure. Does it make them a little nervous?
No, it's good.
That's good.
So,
excellent.
But the one thing I kind of get nailed into, and I will say this just because when we talked about the topic, the one thing for some reason I can't get away from, I'm really good at building business, I'm really good at building the infrastructure for businesses, the marketing system for businesses and stuff like that's where my specialty is. Unfortunately, years ago in 2005, I wrote a book called The Ultimate Lead Generation Plan, and we hit #1 Barnes & Noble, Amazon, and stuff like that back then. And everybody has pegged me in that world of list building, lead generation. So I figured, what better than talk about that than here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely. So looking at all the different strategies that you've used, I mean, we have an audience of people that would like to grow their business, grow their prospects lists, and all of that. What do you think the best marketing combination is of all the things that you've used so far? Because you've probably got more experience than almost anyone I've had on here.
Yeah, I mean, well, I mean, I've built lists up to 1.2 million subscribers, I mean, in a year, like in a really short period of time. And I will tell you this, over the years, I've discovered that, at the beginning, it was like, hey, I just want to get free people. Then it went to a point where I said, hey, I want to get these free people. I created like this, I called it the washing machine. It was kind of a joke, but people would come in, if somebody clicked, or somebody opened the email, I wanted to build this list of all these openers. And then later on, it got to the point where I wanted to build a list of all the clickers. Then it got to the point where I said, you know what? And it was I don't know if you're familiar. Some people may know Gary Pennsylvania and Ted Nicholas, but I was actually consulting Ted on a project, and he brought in Gary Pennsylvania, which are very amazing copywriters, which I didn't know who he was actually at the time. It was funny. But Gary and I started kind of arguing a little bit because I'm like, oh, you got to get free leads. You got to do all this stuff. We were helping them run their Facebook campaigns. And he's like, look, if they're not a buyer, they're not a thing on there. So basically, one of the things that I focused on really now is, I create low end products, and we create low end products to build a list. So basically, people opt in with their credit card. And when they get on the list from there. So that's kind of how I look at it. Everything else to me is just an audience.
Okay, so it's better to get their credit card out right away so that that they're more likely to buy some of the other things down the line.
Well, they're gonna be. I mean, a buyer is a buyer and a buyer, and especially when a buyer's in heat, they're gonna buy more. So, but outside of that, it's and here's the interesting fact. Which most people don't realize. Sometimes it's easy. Sometimes it's 1,000 times easier to sell something for $7 than it is sell it for free. It's so much easier to. I found it's so much easier to sell things than sometimes it is giving stuff away for free. No matter how good it is. So especially getting people to exchange, not just free as like, hey, you watch this free video, that's different, and that's taking people's attention. But if you're getting their email address or getting something from them, some data, some information so we can follow up with them, I find that to be true for a lot of things I do. Plus, they're a lot easier to work with. Plus, once you get to a point of having 100,000 subscribers on your list, you're looked at in every single autoresponder, every single CRM that you're out there, like, whoa, we don't want to deal with you. You're too big, or they're going to jack up the prices. We were spending 152. When I had 1.2 million, I scaled it down, basically just getting the best of the best out of it. But when we were at 1.2, I was really spending, God, it was like $5,000 a day just to push them. I mean, it was something ridiculous like that. So that's when I got really good at split testing, at paying attention to what can I do to increase the opens, what can I do to increase the clicks, what can I do to increase the amount of sales that I'm making. Because when you're at a point where you push send, like, hey, I've got to make 10,000 off this. If I don't make it, I'm in the hole. You play the game a little differently.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, that's amazing. So A/B testing, just for the crowd that may not know what it is, if you'd like to explain it.
Yeah, so, well, here's one of the biggest things, if we're going to look at it from an email marketing perspective. One of the biggest things that I'll tell for everybody, and I don't care how big your list is and stuff like this, or if you've got an email list, or if you're getting an email marketing, I will tell you the one little thing that has revolutionized everything that I have done is split testing, meaning, I take one piece of information and I'm testing against another piece of information. Most people will tell you to create slight variations in change, meaning something very, slight. So like on a sales page, let's say we're looking at a page, somebody might change the headline. If we're looking at a newspaper, let's just say somebody might change the headline and find out which headline actually sells more papers. I actually found that slight variations create slight variations in the change in the response. So I like to do radically different variations. So when I'm talking radicals, give you guys the best example in the world for a radical would be, I'll use Frank Kern's like famous subject line, which is dude. So you got dude, which is one subject line, which gets tons of opens. Then you take, and I've tested this many times, then you take another subject line like buy my stuff. Well, guess which one's going to get the most opens? Dude. But guess which one's going to get the most buyers? Buy my stuff.
Wow, yeah, because you're giving them the command. And the ones that want to buy your stuff are going to click on it.
Yeah, and I'm using that as an example of a radical, like meaning I'm taking two radically different things. One's going to have less opens, probably more clicks. The other one's going to have more opens and less clicks. And I find that happened to be true. So when I'm testing, I like to test radically different things. And I like to test radicals. So I might test, actually here we were talking about him, like he just sent me this in the mail, and he just sent me this in the mail. So I got two books here. So these are two radicals. So this one's about presentations. This one's about storytelling. So literally they both came in like the other, like here's one from one guy and another.
Yeah.
But I'm using this as an example, so I might find out like, hey, my people might like this, or my people might like this. I have a feeling my people will go with this, but what I believe is true isn't always true, or this one might actually outpull. So I don't know. When I'm talking about radicals, that's what I'm talking about. And then once I discover, which one is doing the best, and that's the one that I spend more energy and time on, because it just makes more sense, literally more money from there. So to bring that up. So we do a lot of testing, and here's one thing with email when it comes to email marketing, which most people, and I kind of alluded to this without saying it and really being clear on it, is when we test, I test every time I send an email out. That's one thing I'm like a testing freak in a sense, about when we send out emails, I test 5 different radically subject lines. So I might have, dude, buy this, powerful presentations, story selling, no BS guide. I might use those 5 radically different variations to find out which one's getting me those clicks, which one's getting me those buyers. Because the one that I believe is going to be true is never true. The one that I think is going to win never wins. The one I think is going to lose is never loses. It's usually something that I don't know, because a lot of times it's counterintuitive.
Yeah, that's amazing. And going back to the landing page for a second, you were saying radically different. You were talking about different headlines. Are you also changing the whole design of the landing page? Okay, so
yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, go ahead. I was just so it has a totally different look.
Yeah. So if you're changing the headline, like a lot of people, like that's the first thing a lot of copywriters will say. A lot of people say, well, just change the headline, change the headline. Look, that's a slight variation. So for me, what I typically, and I don't know what people's budgets are, but when I'm doing it, I get a radically different sales letter or radically different copywriter. So I pick one copywriter, or 2 different copywriters, or whether it's me versus a copywriter. A lot of times that's what happens. So I always play that game, me versus a copywriter in the copy. So it's a radically different angle. It could be a radically different way. I might even change the name up a little bit. So radical from there, but also I get 2 different graphic designers to create it too. So when you look at the sites side by side, you would kind of know that it's the same thing because it's alluding to it, but one might be, but they're radically different. Another radical could be using video. Like a lot of times I'll use video versus a long sales letter. Like if I'm using direct response. So a straight up video versus that, or it could be the combination. So the third test I could do is a video on top, this long sales letter on the bottom, because I don't know which one is gonna be the best, because every scenario, every situation, is always different. And it's like, yeah, a lot of people throw out blanket statements, but at the end of the day, a lot of those blanket statements, I like to test the blanket statements. So if somebody gives me a blanket statement like, Matt, only video sales letters work. I'm like, okay, let me just prove that it's going to work on this in this situation, because we don't know our market may react differently than that person's market. The people on the end might react differently than those. And the better relationship you have with them, with your subscribers and your people, the more they're just going to buy. I found the more they buy from whatever you put out there. So, it's interesting.
Well, have you tested? I'm sure you have. Have you tested a lot on the thank you page? I just went on TV and talked about landing pages the other day. But when it comes to like the thank you page, what do you find is working the best as far as, is it video? Is it webinars? Is it something to sell that people are really looking to buy?
Yeah, let me be clear. So when you say thank you page, like let's say they opt into a page and they're landing on that page, that's where we're at right there with this conversation?
Right.
Okay, yeah.
So they've opted in. The second page is where, hey, thanks for opting in for our thing. Here it is. You can download it here, whatever it was. And by the way, here's another opportunity to buy this thing. So it's your second.
Yeah. So here's what's interesting. 9 times out of 10, I'm not going to give them. I'm going to give them what I promised them, but I'm not going to give them on that page because I want them to be able to do whatever it is. So, like what we found that works really well is say, hey, look, guys, what we just promised you is in your email box. Check it; it'll be there in about 2 minutes. While you're waiting on that to come in your email box, and so on from a video. It's 9 times out of 10 we're doing a video, kind of a forced video in a sense, where they're forced to kind of watch this video. It describes like, here's what you're going to get. You made a great decision. Here's exactly what you're going to get. By the way, check your email box. It's going to come shortly. However, while you're waiting, I've got this other opportunity that's going to be, that you can add on to make, whatever, however the angle is.
So what are you selling? Is it just another course? Is it like what kind of price points?
Depends on the front end. I mean, if I'm going like if I'm doing a low end $7 thing, then the next thing is usually going to be $27 from there, and then from 27 usually I might go up to 47, or I might go to 97 on there, depending on what the flow is. Every flow is a little different. Sometimes it depends on what the outcome I want. For example, I was if you go back, talk to a lot of these guys, a lot of the free CDs, a lot of people are giving out like quote unquote, people will credit me that know me will credit me for being one of the first guys to ever do that because that's exactly what I did. Because I was watching an infomercial one night and I said, "This is great." Back in 2002, I think it was, putting up
Oh yeah.
those free CDs. So we did tons of different free CDs, and when we do back with our stuff, is a lot of times. Here's what's the interesting thing is we actually would have when people go by there, the next page they go to. So let's say I want to, and it's from a framing perspective. Let's say I want to let them know about this, and for me, it was a $5,500 seminar in the internet marketing space. For another company, it was, for this $50,000 coaching. So we wanted to get them really, real high up here to let them know, like, hey, here's this. Did we expect anybody to buy? No. Did we get people to buy? Once in a while. But our whole idea was to frame them on a concept or frame on something that, for us, the salesperson was going to call them about later, so they already knew about it. They already been mulling it around in their mind, and all we had to do is push them, persuade them a little bit more to get it because they've already kind of had it in their mind, and from there. So it's interesting because that's a great way, and I tell a lot of people that's a great way to do it on your landing page. You don't have to expect to sell it. If you have another mechanism that's going to sell it later. For us was people on the phone.
So yeah, you're just telling them, hey, we're going to give you a call, or even make an appointment as your upsell. Is that right?
Well, it actually really wasn't an upsell. Actually, it was a bonus on the product they're getting. So everybody got a phone call.
The call was the bonus.
Yep, on the initial product.
Oh, very, very tricky. I love it.
Well,
fantastic.
and then from there, the cool thing is, well, if you're doing that specific strategy, then from there you can say, hey, you can skip the line, fill out this application, and get on. We're going to call you in the order that the orders came in. Skip the line. In order to skip the line, fill out this, and they can fill it out and get in. If not, we actually, it depends. When you're running, because actually on one floor I had 47 guys, another floor I had 150 people. So when you're running a big thing like that, you got to get a lot of volume. If you have a really small team, of course you don't need the volume like that. You could probably just go in and do a little bit more. You got to give the guys as many phone calls as they can have because they need to get on the phone and talk. If not, they'll run away.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a call center background, so I know exactly what you're talking about. I've been on those calls.
In talking about this.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting thing for a lot of people to know. Like if you are, and this is a really good tip, anybody should write down, and I wasn't expecting to talk about this, but one of the things that we did discover, if you are doing it or if you're looking to create the best leads, if you go through and you can scan, first of all, one of the things, biggest thing people do is you want recency. Recency is very important to pick up the phone and call. If they've ordered if they just ordered it, if they've ordered 3 months ago, it's dead a lot of times. But if they've ordered it in a short period of time, it's always good to pick up the phone and call them. The other thing is, which most people don't realize, and maybe people can use this for another technique, but is of course, hey, if this person did purchase a lot more in the sequence, so they had the value of that buyer was a lot higher. That's what a lot of people do is like, hey, this person bought this upsell and this upsell, so we'll just give them the call because they have the most likelihood to buy. Well, of course, that makes a good lead. But also, one of the things that we found that works really good too is analyzing the credit card data to find out, hey, what credit cards people use. Visa and MasterCard are very easy for anybody to get their hands on. So, and I will tell you, the quality of a Visa and MasterCard buyer is not that high at all. The conversion on them later, if you look at them, the people that are actually doing most of the upsells are have the purchase, the ability to purchase more, the people that have an American Express. So it's funny when a lot of people don't accept American Express because I think they're freaking idiots, and I tell people like you're losing out on some of the best people you could ever get, despite the little fee extra you got to have.
Yeah, absolutely. That's amazing knowledge to have. Wow, I've never even heard anyone say that. That's really cool. The A/B testing really works. You look at every piece of it, so that's incredible.
You have to. And here's something you brought up. Not to change, but here's something you brought up, and I want to be clear with a lot of people. So you asked about the thank you page, and for me, I always test in the progression of the traffic. So first, I want to test that first page that they're going to land on, because if I'm going to send traffic there, I got to test that first. The second thing I'm going to test is the thank you page, or that page I'm going to have them land on, and then I'm going to test the next page in the progression of the traffic going. So I just want people to put that in the back of your head, because if we work way back here where nobody's at, what good is it?
Right.
We don't know. So we want to work at the front. The faster we can get them to convert in the front, then we work over here. And I will tell you, I use the law of large numbers for a lot of my stuff. Like, for example, I don't make decisions unless there's 1,000, depending on how many clicks. 100 clicks gives me a good idea, especially an opt-in page. 100 clicks give me a good idea how good people are opting in. 1,000 clicks gives me a good idea of how well the next page is converting. 1,000, because if I'm doing an opt-in page and I get 100 clicks, and let's say I'm converting at 30%, that's only 30 people landing on the next page. That's not enough data for me to determine that next page if it's doing any well.
Right.
But if I've got 1,000 clicks coming through, or I can have a couple hundred, but if I had 1,000 clicks coming through for me, so that if I'm converting at 30% on the opt-in page, that's 300 people. After 300 people, if that thing's not working, there's something wrong. So it gives me. So I'm looking at the law of that, and a lot of people don't realize that. They don't think about it like, oh, I had this many people come through. Well, they got to analyze. No, really, you only had, let's say if 30% conversion on 100, you only had 30 people see it. That's not enough data to make a determination on anything. That's too small of numbers.
So I have two questions. So one of them is, what are good conversion rates for these pages? And the other, I'll let you answer that question first. What are you looking for conversion?
You're not gonna like it. You're gonna hate my answers, because they're what typical marketers will say. Because there is, I don't care if I have an 80%, 100%, whatever it is opt-in rate. I care more about the conversions in the back end. So if at the end of the day, it's all a math number. Am I spending $1 and am I getting $1 back? Depending on what I want. There's three types of marketers out there. There's the type of marketers that say, hey, look, for me, I spend money on advertising. If I'm gonna spend $1, I want to make my dollar. I want to make more than my $1 back. There's the other type of marketer, which they're more amateurs, and not even that, they're more the newbies. Amateur guys are going to say, hey, look, if I spend $1, I want my $1 back, so they want to get it really quickly. And then you've got the other guys that act as more investors. They say, hey, listen, I want people to come in. I want to be able to make my money back within net 30. A lot is a number that a lot of use. I want at least got 30 days to be able to do it before my Amex number, my card comes in, and I got to pay that. So I want to get it back net 30. So from there, so it's really. But the thing is, I've seen a lot of people. It's like, oh, I got 80% conversion rate on my opt-in page. So, how many buyers did you get? Not many. I make one tweak, one thing, and that I might get better prospects, better quality people, and it's like they take the upsell path 1,000 times more. I want that one, because at the end of the day, I'm looking at the long-term value, the LTV, what am I earning throughout the time that person.
Now, a lot of times I have a list of questions that I typically ask, but I like to think about, what questions the audience might have, and I think, what are the biggest mistakes people are making on their landing pages? What kind of tweaks are just common that you can make to improve your results?
Okay, so here's a pretty cool thing. So since I do a lot of testing, split testing, I'll say this: if nobody does split testing, here's the cool thing. Go back if you have an email list. This just makes life easier for everybody. So the easiest thing to do is go back and look at which, for example, if you're tracking opens on all of them, you go back to look at your auto responder, log into your account, and say, man, this subject line had the most opens out of all the subject lines that I had. Well, guess what? Use your data that you currently have and put it on your page. So nobody's marrying their emails with their landing page. For example, the oddest one, I just did the one offer that I have up right now is I have 3,000, 4,000 emails that I've sent out over the years, and I put them all together in a swipe file and gave it to people. I bring that up because the headline that I used on there was 10. And don't quote me on this. It was 10-1. You're going to thank me for this. So all the copywriters are staring at it and writing me on the sidelines like, Matt, you should use this subject line, 10,000 subject lines for, I'm like, dude, you don't have my data. It says that this is going to work. I guarantee if I had to make it, I don't like guessing. That's a good guess. That's a question mark to me. My data says that I should use this, so I'm going to use this. Actually, and it wasn't just, and for me, it wasn't just the highest open rates. It had the highest clicks and the highest sales. So that subject line I knew was going to be, if I had to choose anything, I like to look at the data saying, that one is the best start for me to do. So I bring that up for a lot of people is like, go look at, like, I call it a flashlight. I mean, I was going to look for a flashlight, but I call it flashlight. So if we had our, you know, you had your phone on and you're in the dark, because you are in the dark when you're starting your page, you're in the dark. The first thing you want to do is you want to turn on the flashlight. I'll turn on the phone flashlight, you know, but you want to turn on the flashlight, and sometimes things just pop in your face and you see them. So that would be, you know, like for me, it's like I go through, I comb through my stuff in my autoresponder. I'm like, oh, that's it. There it is. I got a good fresh start to be able to go, because the subject line is a headline. You know, it's just a lot of times shorter, but I'm finding in a lot of my stuff too is that shorter headlines are outpulling. You know, a lot of people write the 10, you know, line things. You know, I just want to capture their attention to pull them in, to draw them into the thing too. So it works really well. And you actually notice a couple of these books aren't there. You know, Storytelling Made Easy is a very short headline. Some of my best books, oh, this one right here, for example, Stealth Selling Secrets. I split tested the hell out of this. Is a subject line. Like my name of my book, Stealth Selling. This is not for sale. This is actually the it's coming out. It's a pretty good book. And actually, Michael and them are in the book. But I say this because that subject, that was a subject line I I mean, I tested the hell out of it. It's been through 5 radically different variations from that, 5 radically variations from there, and then it went in and, you know, and then actually I used pretty much the email copy, you know, for a lot of my stuff. So I'm leveraging the data that I already have to be able to make things happen.
Oh, that's really cool. I mean, I do the same thing with headlines for my YouTube ads and my LinkedIn ads, but I noticed that the ones that do really well on YouTube are completely different than the ones that do really well on LinkedIn sometimes. And
yeah, that would make sense because it's a totally radically different audience.
Totally, yeah, radically different audience. So yeah, so I can't really take the data and unless I know that it's going to be the same audience, so my same calling list and everything. So that's really interesting to know. Where can people find the leads and the best audiences to sell? I mean, you already know about Amex being better buyer. I just wondered, maybe you have some advice for them on finding lists.
Yeah, well, it really depends on their target market. I mean, like, you know, I mean, with your stuff, because video might be the perfect thing for them. LinkedIn's a really great place. I mean, it is totally different. I mean, Facebook's a different type of buyer. I find a lot of the stuff in internet marketing specifically, that's where I get tons of people from. And that's actually how we met, you know, or, well, we got this happening. So yeah. Every market, you know, every market's a little bit differently and where they're at. So, you know, to answer that question is I just look for the neighborhood of where they're at. And if everybody's hanging out in this neighborhood, then I want to go to that neighborhood, and so that I can market to those people that are hanging out in the neighborhood. If that makes any sense.
The neighborhood might be an online neighborhood, and it might be a physical neighborhood.
Yeah, and it could be. I mean, and it really could be. And a lot of times too is depending on, because like I will tell you, like for the tax company, which we found that works best is using Newsmax, finding very conservative people over there. So we're actually buying, we buy solo ads from Newsmax. I mean, to me, I like email marketing. I like to pay people to send out emails. So like for example, I've done a lot of solo advertising where I pay people. People have lists. I want to get people on my list. Well, what easier mechanism to get somebody to do whatever I want them to do, like get on my list, to get them off somebody's list. So if I want to get some, to me, my thought is, if I don't run, I'm not the, I'm not a social media person in the world, and I never will claim to be. But if I was going to get people from Twitter, I would try to see if I can get somebody from Twitter to give me their people from Twitter, and then maybe convert them later once I build them. I don't like play that game, but to me, it just makes sense. Whatever realm they're in or whatever neighborhood they're in, then I use it from there, and then later on move them off.
And those are joint ventures, right?
Yeah, mostly. They could be, or I could pay for it. I mean, right now you go to buysellads.com and you could buy tweets. I mean, gosh, I had a software company. We were number 9 in iTunes on this piece of this app that I've developed, and I found that tons and tons, for me, I found out of everything we were doing, there was tons and tons of people that a lot of the developers were on there, and there was a ton of gamers over there at the time. So I paid people to send out tweets for me. Basically, I paid for tweets, and those people tweeted, then I sent them to my app store, and then from the app store, people were buying like crazy. And we sold, I don't know, it was like 50,000 copies of the thing through tweets. And now it took me a little. I was running banners. I tried different mechanisms. Yeah. What I found when I started when the flashlight popped on and it said tweets, I said, I'm going hard in it, that's kind of, for me, at the beginning, I'm just fishing for a little bit. And once I find where the fish are biting, then I'm going to go, especially my good people. I'm starting noticing it does downloads, but not just downloads, because I don't care about that for that perspective, was how many people were, doing the in-app purchases in the game and everything else from there.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's incredible. You're so full of information. I could probably talk to you for another 2 hours. Wow. I can't believe we've never actually met before, but we know a lot of the same people, so that's really cool. All right, so tell me about what you're promoting. You have a book. I have the link up on the Facebook post, and tell me what is that book about, and why should people go and get it?
Well, the reason I actually suggested that one book, I have multiple different books. One, I will tell you guys, it's more from a positioning perspective. You get a book, you're gonna have me on your shelf. You're gonna stare at me. You could probably resell that really well because that book is like freaking 5 pounds, 10 pounds. I can't remember. It's a huge book. But inside there is tons of copy. I mean, we've been talking about, and it actually really goes along with this. It has subject lines, like things that you could subject lines that are in there. So if you're looking for somebody to hand you subject lines, they're in there. If you're looking for tweets on Twitter, if you're looking for Facebook posts, if you're looking for the headlines on Facebook posts, you're looking for headlines for your thing. I mean, I don't know. There's a slew of things. It's kind of like a copywriter's handbook in a sense of everything that you possibly need. And I'm in the office. I don't know if you know. Well, anyway, the office over here, these guys have my stuff all over. They're like, pull it out. You see them writing copy. They're looking through it because it generates ideas for people to be able to use. Whether you're doing your video stuff, whatever you're doing, it just has it all inside there. When I'm doing emails, when I'm writing copy, it's like, oh, this is a great guarantee. So it has tons of different variations of guarantees, tons of different variations of different things that people could use to either give them inspirations or just wipe them and use them for yourself. Just retype, type it out from there. So it's a great great place to find. And actually, another reason is I find that anybody that does do that, they usually kind of seek me out and want me to work with them a little bit more on the real nuts and bolts of stuff.
Oh wow, absolutely. Now, how much is it going for? It's on Amazon, right? I believe.
Yeah,
right?
it's on Amazon. Actually, I don't know. That's a good question. It's probably like 25, 30 bucks. Yeah. Yeah, click the, I mean,
it sounds like a great
funny.
value for what you're
I
providing.
did a big promotion on it. Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, hell, I would pay a lot more than it took me forever to put the thing together. And like I said, it's thick. I don't have one
Full of your life
here.
experience.
Yeah, well, I mean, just things that people, I mean, just compiling all the data that's in there is really good, and that's why I call it the marketing sidekick. So, because it is your sidekick. If you're a marketer, you want to have this thing by your hand. It's just a collection of, attention-grabbing words, headlines, and phrases that people can use to promote their products and services and their ideas. But it is $24.95 right now. It looks like you get a couple, you can either get that one or go through some of those other guys. Look like some people are selling on it for $11.25. They're not making anything off it, I will tell you, because when you get it in your thing, you'll know when it comes because it's like heavy as hell. I think I put it on there. It was like 5 pounds, maybe even 10 pounds, but it's a thick book. And all the marketers got it. I mean, pretty much any marketer that's a big name, they had this sitting on the shelf. I guarantee it. I mean, I saw the buyers. Actually, I know, Russell's got it. I know a lot of guys have it in their library.
Oh, good. Well, I can't wait to add it to mine. Absolutely. And I hope that everybody that's watching today, if you are marketing anything, you don't have to be a big-time internet marketer to use headlines to market your business, to get more customers. This could be something you use for an ad for a retail store. I mean,
exactly.
You don't know what to find in there, right?
I'm just saying, like, yeah, it doesn't matter where you are. It'll give you inspiration. I mean, there's over 2 pounds of swipeable material. I'm thinking it was. I just know it's thick, heavy, and we had 1,000 copies in my office, and it was over a ton of book. Like literally, I say a ton. No, like it was a ton. We had to bring in carts. It was crazy. You couldn't lift the stuff up. So, but now we've got it over there. And
when did you write this book?
2 years ago. Yeah, roughly 2 years ago.
Well,
actually, no, January of 2016. So now a year. Gosh, it feels like 2 years ago.
How many have you sold already from this one?
Oh, 100. We've sold over 1,000 our first week. And I just did that to my email list. But other than that, I mean, I don't know where we're at with the Amazon sales. I don't pay attention to.
Oh, that's awesome. That's incredible. Well, hopefully we can help you out with some of those numbers. And and your book will help us out with some of our marketing. So, wow, it's been incredible having you on the show today. I really appreciate you coming on. We've actually never met, so I'm happy that we get to meet. Hopefully, we'll see each other in person sometime. But I've heard so many amazing things about you from everybody that we know in common. So it's quite an honor to have you on here today.
Yeah, and it's just the beginning for all of us. So if this is the first time you ever meet me, I mean, then it's great. So, yeah. But other than that, a lot of times a lot of people that follow a lot of people. I mean, a lot of the guys that started. I mean, these guys used to be on my list, paying attention to everything I'm doing. I just took a step back for the last couple of years, actually the last 4 years, to really focus on my core members and my mastermind. And I rather hide behind the scenes, being the guy pulling strings and making stuff happen. It's kind of cool. I got a 17-year-old kid making 150. I think I got him up to $150,000 a month now. 17 years old. That's part of my group, so it's cool.
Wow. And what's your website? So if they're interested in looking at some of your mastermind stuff or contacting you.
The best thing to do is, the best thing on that is just find me on LinkedIn. I will say, hit me up on LinkedIn. I will tell you, I pay more attention to people on LinkedIn or on Facebook. If you find me on Facebook, but I don't friend anybody, so it'd be best to go to my fan page. I have everybody that typically I either know them or know of somebody with them. Somehow there's got to be a relationship there. But the other side of it is LinkedIn. I will say, hit me up on LinkedIn. I'll see that message and I'll get back to you, or pay attention to my fan page. Those are really the two main places.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, I know we're kind of friends on both of those social media outlets, so that's fantastic. So there you go. This is we've been interviewing Matt Bacak. It's an incredible interview. So much information packed into 45 minutes. And this is Erica DELSIGNORE, founder of Daily Lead Campaign, and you have been watching my Great Minds, Great Marketing interview series, where we bring best marketers in the world to you and help give you some advice and get you to that next level with your lead generation and your sales. So thanks so much, everybody, for listening.